The illusion of our age is that we are free, but the modern citizen is a new kind of serf. Unlike the serf of the past, he is not bound by iron chains, he is bound by invisible ones. He is bound by an architecture of impoverishment. The first and most powerful pillar of this prison is the one you can feel every day. We call it inflation, but its true name is the invisible tax. It is, quite simply, the theft of your time. Look at Rome, 64 AD. The denarius was the dollar of the ancient world. It was 98% pure silver. It was trusted, it was real. But the Emperor Nero needed money. He had wars to fight, a golden palace to build, and a populace to appease. He could not raise taxes. The people would revolt. So he ordered the mints to debase the currency. He had them melt down the pure silver coins, mix them with cheap copper, and remint them. From 100 pure silver coins, he now had 120 debased coins. He had his money. But the people? Their savings were stolen without them even knowing it. This was the birth of inflation, a hidden tax that no one votes for, but everyone pays. Every emperor who followed did the same, but worse. By 250 AD, the silver denarius was less than 5% silver. By 300 AD, it was a worthless copper slug. The result? The Roman economy imploded. Society fractured. The lesson is eternal. When a state cannot fund itself honestly, it will always choose to fund itself by destroying the money you hold. The historical rhyme is not subtle. It's a sonic boom. In 1971, the US dollar was tied to gold. It was a check you could redeem for real value. But the state had wars to fight. It had social promises to keep. So it tore up the check. President Nixon temporarily severed the dollar from gold. That temporary measure is now over 50 years old. Since that day, the US dollar has lost 87% of its purchasing power. You did not spend that money. Your government did. You saved $100 for your future. The state took $87 and you didn't even feel it leave until you tried to buy groceries. Inflation is not a side effect of policy, it is the goal. It is the state's silent, primary method of funding itself. It is the invisible tax on your entire life's savings. But the invisible tax is only their first tool. The second is the one you can see but cannot understand. We call it the legal siphon. This is the open theft of taxation, but its true power is not in the amount it takes. It is in the complexity it creates. Go to ancient Egypt. The pharaoh was a living god. He owned everything. To build his pyramids and fund his armies, he needed to extract that wealth from the farmers working the Nile. So he created a class of men to do it, the scribes. The scribes invented a tax code of staggering complexity. They didn't just tax your grain, they taxed the land. They taxed the water used to grow it. They taxed the man who carried it. The average farmer could not understand the system, but he feared it. Compliance was the only option. The lesson is simple. Complexity is a weapon. A tax code that cannot be understood by a common citizen is not a law. It is a tool of control. Now, look at your desk. The U.S. federal tax code is over 70,000 pages long. No single human on earth understands all of it. This is not an accident. The rich, the modern pharaohs, hire armies of modern scribes, we call them accountants and lawyers, to navigate this maze. For them, the code is a sieve, full of loopholes, deductions, and exceptions. For you, for the middle class, it is a solid wall. It is designed to make you feel confused, afraid, and perpetually guilty. It siphons your money while you waste your time and energy just trying to comply. It is the legal siphon, and it drains you while you are distracted by the paperwork. This system of theft, both visible and invisible, has a fatal flaw. People will not work hard just to be stolen from. They will not participate. And so the architects created their masterpiece, the final pillar of the prison. The one you beg for. We call it debt. I call it the golden handcuffs. Go to the 19th century American coal town. A coal company builds a town. It owns the mine, the houses, and the general store. It needs miners. The company opens a company store. It pays the miners in its own private currency called scrip, which is only valid at that one store. The company sets the prices high. The miner's scrip is never enough to cover his family's food and rent. So he takes a loan from the company to buy food from the company. He is now in debt. He cannot leave. His children will be born into that debt. He is not a slave. He is a free worker, but he is trapped. He who controls your debt controls your choices. Now look at our world. We call the company scrip the dollar. We call the company store the market. And we call the miner's debt the American dream. The system encourages you to take on debt. Want a house? Here is a 30-year mortgage. Want an education? Here is a $100,000 student loan that cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. The state guarantees it. Want a car? Here is a 7-year loan. You are now a modern serf. You are chained not to a piece of land, but to a payment schedule. You cannot quit your job. You cannot take a risk. You cannot speak your mind, because you have to service the debt. The state and the banks have given you golden handcuffs. They look beautiful, but they are still handcuffs. The picture is now clear. The three pillars are not separate. They are one single, self-reinforcing machine. The invisible tax of inflation destroys your savings, forcing you to do something with your money. So you buy a house or stocks. The legal siphon of taxation then punishes you for those gains, siphoning off any wealth you manage to build. And the whole time, the golden handcuffs of debt chain you to the job that pays the taxes to participate in the system that inflates your money. It is a closed loop. It is an architecture. It is a prison designed to make you run on a hamster wheel for 40 years only to die exactly where you started. Now, some will call this paranoia, a conspiracy. They are wrong. This is not a conspiracy. This is not a secret meeting in a dark room. It is worse. It is a system of impersonal incentives. The government does not want to make you poor. It just wants to fund its own promises, and diluting your money is the easiest way to do it. The banks do not want to enslave you. They just want to generate risk-free returns, and government-backed debt is the safest bet. No one is the bad guy. The system is the bad guy. This isn't paranoia. This is math. This is history. Preparation is not about fear. It is about foresight. It is about seeing the incentives as they are, not as we wish them to be. You cannot tear down the architecture, but you can leave it. The survivors of every collapse in every nation have always used the same two-part strategy. You must reject the system's currency. You must reject the system's premise. First, hard assets. The system is built on paper, on promises, on digital entries. You must anchor yourself in reality. Hard assets are things that cannot be printed by a government or debased by a central bank. Gold, silver, land, Bitcoin, things that have a cost to produce. These assets are your shield. They are the store of value that survives the fire when the paper burns. They are your defense against the invisible tax. Second, and more important, hard skills. The system is designed to create consumers and debtors. You must become a producer. The architecture of impoverishment is designed to keep you weak, confused, and dependent. It wants you to be a debtor. It wants you to be a consumer. It wants you to be a cog. But history shows us the pattern, and once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. You are not a serf. You are a strategist. History has the answers. I will show you where to look. Subscribe, not for fear, for foresight. Next week, we explore the new digital walls of this prison. The cash you hold is the last piece of financial freedom you have. We will decode the rise of the digital scribe and ask the question, in a world without cash, who truly owns your money?